bit about StealthWatch. We were formerly Landco, acquired by Cisco at the end of last year. And StealthWatch is a very interesting story. Helps you understand what the traffic is doing inside of your environment. My previous history was at a couple of managed security services companies. And one thing that I know they faced challenges with was understanding the inside of their customers' network. Great for firewall, great for IPS. When it came to the internal traffic, it was a big vulnerability. So, Brett, by the way, the table, if you want to go to So within our charter, we actually manage a couple of products. StealthWatch, Identity Services Engine, Packet Analyzer, which is a packet capture solution, and then StealthWatch Learning Network, which is machine learning for branch offices, retail locations. But today I'm really going to focus on StealthWatch, and then depending on time, we'll about the Identity Services. So kind of the flip side of each other. What's going on inside of the network, and who really is accessing the network. So from our viewpoint, we've been in existence since 2001, which was created by a professor out of Georgia Tech to monitor the activity inside of the network. Very network performance based, like a lot of vendors in this space were back then. But right around 2008, we decided to change our focus and really focus on using that same kind of technology but for security purposes. The reason being was we saw everywhere in the news, right, that companies were investing very heavily for their defenses, but yet still getting hacked. People are still getting on the internet. Part of the reason that that's happening is because the way we do business today is different than we did back in the 80s and 90s. We integrate directly with our business partners. We allow mobile devices, whether that's BYOD, bringing laptops home, or using a cell phone. We've got acquisitions and partnerships. How do I integrate with one of my distributors and ensure that they're not going to infect me? And then we're leveraging assets that are always in our control, such as cloud environment, or maybe deploying Internet of Things to make ourselves more efficient in whatever process that we're trying to operate. In addition to that, at the same time, the threat space is getting more sophisticated. Right? They are bright people, organized crime, government, competitors, all trying to get information. Whether that's to make money, steal secrets, doesn't matter. Inside of environment. So, from our viewpoint, it's hard to see what you don't know, right? We basically take the network as a sensor approach, turn the network into a sensor unto itself. That's how we gain the visibility into what's happening inside of your environment. That's important because when you consider that somebody has already got a pass wherever for their defense, maybe they changed the signature, or it's a new malware, or they infected a laptop while your CFO was at Starbucks. It doesn't really matter. They're now on the inside. They're moving laterally inside your environment. In most cases, to north-south traffic, roughly 20% of your total traffic, 80% of your traffic is east-west. You have no visibility to that because you're not monitoring it. And if you are monitoring it on some level, it's usually an internal idea that it's totally technology, right? It's not seeing everything, it's only seeing what's below. So our goal is to give you that visibility, reduce your meter time down. We know that certain statistics like Mandiant, a couple of years ago, was 256 days until you were discovered you had been breached. And you're usually notified of that breach by some three-letter acronym such as the SEI or something like that. Or when somebody unrelated to you will say, hey, why are you doing us? Our goal is to get that down to minutes. So within the greater Cisco portfolio, if you consider the StealthWatch solution as kind of the immune system, and things like firewall and IPS kind of the skin, we're really the determining factor, right? How do we monitor what's going on inside of your network, understanding that traffic from a behavioral baseline and say, this is normal behavior. Anything outside of that should be suspicious to you. And then helping you understand how your network behaves from a planning standpoint and include things like policy validation, how you're segmented, and of course identifying the actual threat so that you can remediate against that in the future. So the way we do that is, as I mentioned earlier, turning the network into instruments. We're gathering network metadata, primarily in the form of net flow. And we want full net flow. That's very important. The analogy with sample net flow would be like, let's say you're reading a mystery novel, and you read 1 out of every 1,000 words in the book. You're never going to solve the crime. Right? You want to have information about every package that goes to the network. So similar to the NSA, asking the major telecom also on records so they can analyze who may be a terroristic threat in the United States and who they can take to outside of the country. We're doing that same kind of thing inside the network. So this is very different than some of the traditional security solutions that are out there, right? Most of those security solutions are taking a known bad approach to security. So looking at signatures, you're setting up rules. What's the new virus out there, or now, right? All it takes is for somebody to change that or hide that somehow, or find another way in, right? That circumvents your security measure. What we're really interested in is taking the flip side of that and finding that known good. So gathering information on all the assets inside of your environment, doing a 30-day rolling baseline, so it's self-learned all the time about how you're changing your network. And then presenting that to you in a fashion that makes sense with your business process. So defining your assets based on geolocation, based on business unit, but probably most importantly based on asset type. So one of the questions we commonly get is, well, if you're going to baseline my behavior and I've already been hacked, doesn't that get baselined in? Well, the way that it doesn't get baselined in is because we look within that group of assets and say, which of these assets is not like the other, even though it should be. And that's how we detect if what would have been compromised. So gathering a lot of information about the various assets inside of your environment, helping you assess what's going on, being able to record that conversation for long periods of time. This is net flow metadata, right? Very lightweight. You're talking about a 1% uptick on your actual traffic after this information. And because it's lightweight, many of our customers report it for 90 days, some as long as a year plus. Excellent for forensics purposes. So let me give you an example. Right? Something enters your network, you're a very busy team, you're understaffed, as is almost always the case. On day 1 it's moving to criticality. But on day 50, the bad actor decides to activate that. And now they're getting around your network, you see that, oh, there's something serious going on, something's behind my environment. It looks like they're data hoarding, getting ready to exploit information. You may be able to stop that, but you want to go a little bit further and find out how did this first get in here, right? So using our data and being able to kind of turn back the time and say, you know, this is where I first discovered communication with this person back here 50 days ago. Now you may be able to discover this and eventually be able to mitigate against that so it doesn't happen again. So again, monitor the network in real time, understand the behavior of that environment, be able to determine what's normal, what's not normal, leverage other solutions to add context to that information, such as Cisco. So stealth watch in and of itself is primarily an IP-based solution, right? Which can be a little cumbersome unless you happen to know your network very intimately and are able to say that IP is this asset, right? So very few people can do that. So leveraging data from Cisco ICE, such as who the end user is, what the MAC address is, the type of device, adds more context so you understand more quickly what may I need to do to mitigate against that. Present that information in many different ways, right? Whether that's network performance standpoint, whether that's some sort of security alert, and then delivering that to you through whatever preferred response mechanism. Is that an email that goes to you? Are you constantly in the dashboard and you're seeing it happen in real time? Do you prefer to integrate with your SIM, in which case you would send syslog? Would you like to take some action against that information? So we have a handy quarantine button if you're a certain type of ICE customer that allows you to say mitigate, and it'll quarantine that asset to like its own separate VLAN so it can no longer interact with the rest of the network. But there's other ways to do that as well, sending chunk commands to your Cisco ASA. From a threat perspective, we often hear the analogy that the hacker only has to be successful once, right? You've got to be successful all the time in order to prevent them. That's true and it's not true, right? So if it's purposeful, most hackers are trying to do something intentionally, meaning that they've got some sort of target in mind. So to borrow from Lockheed Martin's concept of the cyber kill chain, because you're now able to gain visibility inside of the network, the hacker doesn't only have to be successful once, i.e. get past your firewall and IPS. They have to be successful several times because now you're not monitoring that activity inside of the network. You know that assets that shouldn't be scanning your network are now scanning your network. You know that assets or users that normally wouldn't have access to certain data are now accessing the very data they shouldn't have access to, right? Things that don't fit your business process. Things that don't fit your daily computational needs. And that's how we're able to catch these guys in real time as it's happening inside of your environment. From a functionality standpoint, we built a little over 94 algorithms. I forget what the number is these days. But basically, it's monitor the network for all of these kind of indicators of compromise. And then they bubble up into these specific alarm categories so that you know what we think this event really is. Within that, we've got something called the concern index. We also offer something, the flip side, called the target index, basically for victim. The higher those indexes go up, the more problematic the situation is with that asset, whether that's the perpetrator being the concern index or the victim being the target. And then, of course, as mentioned earlier, we've got various response mechanisms to send that out to whatever other assets are inside your environment that you'd like to integrate with, or email alert, whatever the case may be. Let's see if this works right. I noticed a couple of images were missing earlier on the edit screen that won't show up here. So from an architectural standpoint, StealthWatch is very easy to deploy. You would imagine that something like this might require a ton of span and cache, but that's just not the case. We're asking your routers and switches to export the data to us. So you don't have to deploy tons of devices and increase your total cost of ownership, increase the management responsibilities inside the network. So imagine trying to do and gain total network visibility with your IDS device. So not only is it looking for signatures, it's not looking necessarily for the behavior, it's also heavily span and path based, right? So the basic requirement for a StealthWatch solution is simply the management console at the top, and then the flow selector in the middle. The flow collector is the database, the computational engine. That captures all the net flow records for however long it's able to. Resize the net flow according to how much data you're sending and how long you want to retain it. The management console is as it applies. That's the user interface. You go in, leverage the CAM reports, leverage the custom reports that you want to have seen on a daily basis, and then leverage the tool for running reports, gaining insight on the fly. Now, not everybody is full NetFlow enabled. As I said earlier, it's very important to get everyone to that book, right? So what we have are a couple of other options here, the flow sensor, and then the flow sensor virtual. Most VMware customers these days have the ability to use the virtual switch or router and send information out in NetFlow capability. But for other customers that may be using a mixed environment, maybe some Cisco, some HP, they may not necessarily have the ability to produce NetFlow. In that situation, we will deploy a flow sensor. That unfortunately is span or path based. But the added benefit of using the flow sensor is that in addition to capturing NetFlow, you can now capture layer 7 information. And now you've got application data, URL information. So if you want to turn StealthWatch into more of a stone that kills two birds, you may be able to satisfy some information on, my system is running slow, I think it's the network. And then you look into StealthWatch and say, actually, I've got the server response time, I've got the round trip time, it's actually a server issue. Or it's not either, you've actually been compromised and something's trying to talk back to configure, whatever the case may be. and is using a lot of your computational power. That's what's called utility. On the far right, we've got something called the StealthWatch Labs Intelligence Center that will soon be replaced by Talos. Basically, we partner with two intelligence networks and conduct our own research to capture information about who all the known bad actors out there in the wild. So, botnet command and control, ransomware, Bogon, and Tor. Give that information to you. It's updated every 5 minutes, so we can monitor not just the north-south traffic, but the east-west traffic, and to find out who's actually trying to communicate with these things. Whether that communication is successful or not makes no difference. We now know who's compromised. As mentioned earlier, Cisco ICE will increase the richness and context of your data by changing StealthWatch from an IP-based solution to now a user-based solution. So, if I get suspicious about somebody, I no longer have to know what IPs are assigned to them. I just type in their name and look them up, and now I can see all the activity that they do, what assets they're used to log in with, whether it's one asset or multiple assets. I may be able to find out that somebody is both logged in Kansas and also in Germany, which would be pretty suspicious, right? That they could be in two physical places at the same time. We extend that same kind of visibility into Amazon Cloud. So Amazon is going to try to protect, what's going into and outside of your specific cloud environment, right? But you want to be able to verify that and watch the network behavior, what's going on inside of that cloud environment. So leveraging our cloud license, you're able to do that. One of the challenges with looking at communication to the outside is that you may have things like NAT switching in place or proxy in place. That kind of limits how far you can go to see who you're communicating to the outside. So with something like proxy license, you're able to stitch that together and say, it doesn't just end here, I know who you're communicating to beyond these walls. Same thing with ASA and kind of we're able to do that stitching and see who else can be talking to. And then with AnyConnect, we can capture activity that's happening on the person's endpoint. And perhaps even more importantly, add process information about what's going on that machine so that now not only do I have information about the network data flow to and from that device, but now I know what is happening specifically on that device. So with StealthWatch, you're actually able to get quite a bit of visibility about what's going on inside of your network environment, east-west traffic, west-side traffic, who you're communicating to that's good, who you're communicating to that's bad. So let me just give you a couple of examples. We have an auto parts store. This is really more about network performance, segmentation, being able to monitor what's going on inside your environment, right? Nobody wants to be caught in a Sony picture scenario where how much data left and nobody even knew what was happening, right? So we integrated StealthWatch with ICE and their SIM solution. We detected that overseas actors were basically using their internal systems as conduit to communicate from China into Mexico, right? Lucky for them, they weren't the ultimate target, because they certainly were inside of the network. But by watching that traffic, we were able to tell them what was happening, what devices were involved, and then they could then go back in and adjust the policies, the procedures, whatever it was they needed to do to shut that traffic down. Somebody mentioned email earlier as still being one of the most primary attack vectors, right? And it's still true. Classic phishing email, an executive clicked on an email and realized also late that it wasn't actually internal. So she reported that she did that to the IT group and said, hey, watch my stuff, something's happening. They leveraged the StealthWatch solution to see what was going on that asset and notice that that asset had started to communicate to other assets in the environment. Now we've got the worm propagation, what else was detected. The IT team was then able to go in and kind of remove the malware that they were able to identify on that. The beautiful thing about StealthWatch is that it's always on, and sure enough, as soon as they thought, job well done, that's off the hands, they go back to the machine, and we're alerting again, only to discover that the original malware they were mostly just a cover for more insidious malware. So, it's a constant backup and reassurance mechanism, right? Classic Anthem breach happened not that long ago. There was another Blue Cross Blue Shield agency that was doing some kind of business process outsourcing for them. So they had that business partner integration that I spoke about earlier. Anthem discovered that they were breached, they needed to have a frame, they needed 3 IPs that they were communicating with. They shared that with their business partners and said, hey, if you have any way to check this on your network, please do. So our customer was able to leverage that information. They checked their network and were able to go back to their executive body internally and said they're safe. We have no evidence of communication with these bad actors. So that's kind of the Stealth Watch overview. Any questions before I move on? I think about 10 minutes to cover ICE, but ICE is actually relatively easy to understand, right? So, see who or what is getting onto your network. Grant that access on a need-to-know basis, and that gets very granular, which is probably one of the more impressive things about the ICE solution. The next impressive thing is how you're able to leverage that information to share with your other security solutions to bolster their effectiveness, getting greater ROI out of many assets, not just out of ICE itself. And then detect and respond to those threats. So we're looking at who, what, when, where, how, whether those assets are compliant, what kind of person are you, in other words, what's your role within the company. That role then follows you, right? So you can travel from one location to the next, you still got access to the network. Or you're just a visitor. The only thing you get is guest access. Or you brought your own devices to the network. Yes, I'll let you log in, but you can only get the internet and go. So the way we do that is we provide a couple of different licensing models. Base licensing is basically authentication. Seeing login and that kind of thing. The plus licensing allows you to profile the device. So now I know that device doesn't have a red certificate on it. It's not allowed onto the network, or it is allowed onto the network in a very limited capacity. And then the Apex licensing basically gives you visibility into how compliant is that endpoint. Yes, you're allowed a device based on the certificate that you have, but I just sent a query to my Qualys, which then did a vulnerability scan of that device and came back with 4 score. Shared that with me and said, you're out of compliance. You need to update this before I let you onto the network. So leveraging these types of things so that you can control what has access to your network and what is supposed to have access to. Did somebody talk about earlier dropping the USB and a stick fan, right? So pen drive, no access to the network, right? Because it's not sanctioned, it's not approved. So taking that information that we have about the users, the assets, what your network looks like, and basically creating kind of a software-defined network segmentation inside of your environment, leveraging TrustSec. TrustSec will produce something called security group tagging. That security group tagging will tell the routers and switches inside the environment that not only did this person have access to the environment or not, but now where within the environment are they allowed to have access to. Leveraging Stealth Watch will grab that security group tagging and raise those alarms in real time so that you know that something is happening or should be. So that's I guess I'm kind of running out of time, so we'll kind of pause here. But the basic idea is, right, know what's on your network, know which assets they are, know where they're connecting to, and then using something like Stealth Watch to monitor that behavior, set that behavior baseline, and understand whether people are deviating. That's all I have. Thank you.